Tilly.
Hello, Tilly.
Hello,
Thanks for
girls.
coming on.
Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I feel like I've been avoiding this episode for as long as I can because it is like a mother's worst nightmare what you've been through. So your daughter, Sienna, she was born with a heart defect?
Yeah, so that's correct. So I actually was aware of this in my scans. So at 22 weeks, I went for my first baby. I was 23. And I went for a scan at King's College Hospital, which I would recommend for anyone having a baby. King's College would definitely be the one to go to.
They're more in hospital, aren't they?
They're so much more in depth. They look at you a little bit more closely than necessary. They listen to you as the mum and what your worries are and everything else. And I've not got any defects in my family, nothing like that at all. And at 22 weeks, they basically said that there's a issue with her heart. So I said, right, okay. At first, obviously, I didn't know. As a mum in a scan, we just see more people coming in the room and we think, well, what's going on now? And it was the kind of initial look on their face for me, which let me know something wasn't quite right. I've never even knew about heart defects. I didn't even know this existed. It's basically TGA, transitional great artery. Okay. So it's the two valves that lead to Sienna's heart. And what that does is it's the blue and the red blood cells. It's pumping around the body. With a baby, they're very small valves, but one pumps the oxygen around the body, leading back through, and then one pumps blood around the body through into the heart. In order to sustain life, they have to be mixed because you have to have the blue and the red mixing. Sienna's was just blue and red, straight. They wasn't crossed. So they said to me, look, she's got a heart defect, but there was no worry. There was no panic. They put me in a side room and waited for me and her dad, Mickey, for a while. I'd say a good hour. And all kind of things were going around my head. You know, is she going to die? Is she going to survive? But I know you two are both mums. When your first baby, you don't know what to expect. You don't even know there's a love that exists that way.
No, you don't.
And I was kind of up in the wind, I'm going to be honest. You know, your baby's got this heart thing. And I was like, oh, okay, quite young still. Didn't even really want a baby. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really want a baby. And I was like, right, okay, that's fine. We can do this. My husband's quite positive-minded. So it was like, you know, it's going to be fine. During my pregnancy, I had to have a lot of extra scans. So a lot of, you know, scans of this, keeping an eye on what's happening. Is there a hole in the heart? Is there anything else added? A massive side effect of the TGA that you see quite a lot is babies with Down syndrome.
Right.
So my first initial thing was to do the testing for Down syndrome. We was very lucky in Sienna's case. She didn't have Down syndrome. So it wasn't anything congenital. It wasn't anything that come from a family member, history, nothing like that. And it was just purely a bad luck. They see it mostly in little boys, but obviously Sienna was a little girl. So as time went on, it was more and more scans. And then we got to a point where Sienna needed to be born. So they wanted to do induce. They wanted to induce me.
How many weeks was this?
I was induced at 36 weeks. Sienna was tiny. I've always carried quite small. She was tiny. She was £5'9". And when she was born, they said, look, we need to keep you in because after a couple of days, we need her to get a little bit stronger, and then we're going to perform like a balloon operation. So what it does is when she was first born, she couldn't breathe properly. She was very blue. She couldn't, where the oxygen wasn't pumping around her body, she wouldn't have been able to sustain life on her own. So they was helping her for a little bit, which I always watch videos. I thought that's quite normal when a baby struggles to breathe at the beginning. And they then took her away from me. And they took her downstairs with her dad.
Was this at King's? So you had the scans at King's and they delivered you at
Yeah,
King's?
so I asked to be obviously at my local hospital from the beginning. When I found out Sienna had a defect, it was far too dangerous. There's nothing at Farnborough for Sienna.
So did you have your initial scan, like your 12-week at Farnborough?
At my normal
did they pick up there that there was an issue?
Farnborough didn't pick anything up.
So how come you ended up at King's?
Because what happened was when I had the scan at Farnborough, I opted to have some scans at King's. You can, as a mum, opt to have your scans where you want.
Yeah. Well, wasn't that a good job that you did?
Yeah, yeah. Because I swear by it now, I personally think if I wasn't in that hospital, I wouldn't even got to a stage I was at. I really wouldn't. And when you go to places like Evelina, there's so much more help and so much more. So I was fine, that's fine, we'll go to King's for my scan. And then everything was kind of told to me, you know, this is quite a big operation, we have to remove her heart, take her heart out and whatever else. So this needs to be done at St Thomas's because there has to be a Evelina Children's Hospital there. So I said, okay, that's fine. So that's kind of what we did. And when she was born, I took all my bags, everything, you know, I was so excited, new baby, little baby bag, everything was just perfect. And I had no idea, for a 99 success rate, that's good. We run on
really
that.
good,
Like,
yeah.
so
So it wasn't really a case that you didn't realise the magnitude, like they've got a 99%, because I'm not educated on the heart condition, you know.
if I'm honest,
so
guys,
it has got a really good
100%.
survival rate.
And you know what else? I don't look up, but I know my mum does.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
my mum looks up everything. Like to protect our daughters, we do. She goes out the room and let me quickly search and see what I'm up against. And I just knew by my mum, like my mum was scared. And for my mum to be scared, it's like anything if you say to your kids, unless I'm scared, you don't be scared.
Yeah.
So I knew. And it was kind of like, you know, will I be able to hold her? I was asking a question. Yep, everything will be fine. Everything will be like normal. So I said, okay. And then I gave birth to Sienna on the 24th of August.
Yeah.
2000.
She was a Virgo as well.
She was a Virgo, yeah, 24th of August 2016. And bearing in mind, I've only been with my partner like a couple of months, not even that long before I got
you fell
pregnant.
quite quickly.
So I was just trying to get to know him as well. And then when we went in to have her, they took her away, obviously, and they took her down to NICU. In Evelina, in NICU, in St Thomas's, I'm sorry. And I could then go and see her after 3 hours because she had to put this balloon, have a balloon inserted in her tummy in order for them to see what was going on and for oxygen to pump around her body while she was in that state. So then I went down to see her, and obviously I just had a baby, so they wheeled me down, and oh God, she was amazing. Like, amazing. Loads of black hair, tiny weeny little butter nose. I honestly thought she was so angelic. Like, when she was born, she was so beautiful.
Did you have a natural delivery?
Yeah,
so
I did.
they induced you?
They induced me, and I had a natural delivery in St Thomas's.
How many days or hours were you
I
in
was
labour?
literally 7 hours.
Wow.
7 hours right from the beginning. My dad's my world. Like, I love my dad incredibly. Like, my dad, no man in this world comes up to my dad. Like, he's amazing. And he was outside with my brother the whole time. And I remember, like, I could see Big Ben, and it was just so beautiful. And I honestly, I'll be honest now, and this is the hand on my heart, I knew she was going to die.
Did you?
I knew my baby was going to die. Yeah, before my baby even come out, I knew she was going to die. And that was my motherly instinct, knowing. And it was, I don't know what it is, but I seem to think, and my thing in life is, God gives battles to the hardest people. And I genuinely do think that. It's not right, it's not fair, but I think he thought that I could handle that. So, you know, it was just one of them. And then when she was in the PICU, I would go down, but I couldn't hold her.
So as soon as she was born, you weren't allowed to even hold her the once?
No. When
That
she was
must have
first
been
born,
difficult.
when she was first born, sorry, I tell you, when she was first born, they put her on me for a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
And I have a picture.
I think that's so important.
I have a picture of her with me, my nose to her nose.
Thank God for
And
that.
then they took her downstairs, gave her the balloon operation. She was then in PICU. A couple of members of my family came to see her. Tiny. She's got I think you saw one of the pictures. She's got tubes all coming out of her nose, tiny little white hat, little pink bow on it. And it was just tube. But that was the first initial me walking in. Like, because when my baby was born, she didn't have any tubes.
It's the shock of seeing it.
It was the tubes out the face, nose stuck down, eyes closed. It was very, very intense. And I can just remember, even then, it didn't hurt me. And I know that sounds really strange, but I was so numb in what I was doing and I was so young. I was
But
so
had you
young.
had like pethidine or anything as well?
Yes, I had. I had just, yeah.
Savannah, my second daughter, she was rushed off to intensive care because she was blue when she was born. And they let me hold her same for like a couple of seconds, then took her. But then, because I'd had the pethidine, there's a picture of me sitting in the intensive care, and I'm like that. Like,
Yeah,
I didn't react because you're out of your
And it's so
bag.
funny you say that because my mum said to me after, I beat myself up for a while over something, I will explain to you a bit more, but my mum said to me, you know, you have to get to a point where you don't look at it as something so horrific. And I said, but Mum, that's all I know. I didn't take Sienna out. So everything about Sienna is a bad memory for me.
Yeah.
And that's what I can't have. But my mum said, you was out of it. How was you supposed to know? It's all very new. You're a new mum, whatever. So after a little while, they then said to me, you can take her up to a normal ward in St Thomas's and you can hold her. We've got 2 weeks until she has to have the operation. And this is your time now to really bond with her. And that was like, wow. So they took her off of the machine. Bearing in mind, the machine was just for a couple of days to get her oxygen working, her breathing working, get her a little bit stronger. And then they took all machines off, which was fantastic because it was like, oh my God, it was so sad, but I started like walking around like halfway around the room or getting to the door and going to Mick, like, look at her. Like, it was amazing. And like time for us to do like the whole nappy wiping thing. And it's one of them even in NICU, if you haven't even been in PICU, being in NICU just makes you such a more humble person.
Yeah.
Like, I can't explain it. It was like me and some of the mums would come out and we would chat and we would like go back in and it becomes a little world and a little like community. And I'd have like the same nurses that would come on. And these couple of days I just spent really like bonding with her, cuddling her. And it was my intuition. I think God knew I was going to lose her because there was this one day where they was always pulling her about, getting blood from her, whatever else, getting her ready for the operation. And there was this one day where her dad said, I'm going to go down and park the car. And he was gone for hours. I don't know what it was. He was gone for hours. And I remember thinking, where's he gone? But I had 4 hours of just me and her. I sung to her. We kissed, we cuddled. And if I didn't have that day where I did all that alone, I wouldn't have got any of them pictures. So that is a part of the time that I'm really grateful for. But then it started to go downhill. So in this time, when Sienna was in NICU, I mean, back then there wasn't COVID. It was very allowed around babies any baby that was ill or anything, you could bring in your mum, your sister, your nan, your dad, your uncle, your granddad. Everyone's coming in. You have to wash your hands, yeah.
It's your first baby as well. Everyone's like, do you remember when you had Sienna? Like, how many people? When I had Summer, I think
hospital.
there was so many people.
Oh my God! And now, if we was to do it now, you would think about it more, like, and you'd go, maybe not. But I'd have all family members in, and I remember this one day, they said, right, tomorrow she's got to have some tests and some bloods. So I said, okay. And I remember the next morning taking her in for these bloods, and she was tiny, and they took her nappy off. And this was the first bit of trauma that I think I had from that. And they had to get a main line. Because when the baby's going into an operation, they have to get a main line in case of a cardiac arrest. So a main line is your groin, your head, your neck, and your chest, anywhere like that, really. And they opted for Sienna's groin. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I don't think I was ready for how it was going to make me feel. And I remember her just screaming. And they were just pushing and prodding and trying to get this line, and it was just blood. And I just said, no more, leave my baby, just for a while, leave her. And I remember coming back, and I said to her dad, you do it for a while, I'm going to go and get a coffee. And I remember coming back, and I felt so shallow after, but they'd shaved her hair. They shaved the whole side of her hair. And when I went in, I lifted her head up, and there was this big cannula in her head. And I just thought, she's in for a hell of a ride here.
Through it, love her.
She's going in this, yeah.
I had that when I was born. I had the shaved, and I had did they put like a pot over the top of it? Yeah. Because I was starved of oxygen at birth, which explains a lot. But yeah, that's what I had.
And I remember saying to the nurse, what have you done? And she said, oh, I've already put her. I said, no, you shaved her hair. And she's looking at me as if to say, if you think that's your worry, you haven't got a clue what you've got to come tomorrow. And I just thought, it's okay, And then the next morning came, and it was time for me to meet her surgeon. So I met the surgeon, and I won't name any names on here because of legal reasons, but the surgeon that she went with gave me a lot of confidence at the time. A Greek surgeon, fantastic, apparently, and I'd heard all good things. And he said to me, he would actually look me in the eyes and he said, your baby's safe with me. And I said, I just need to ask you one thing. I'm not a doctor. I don't know all these technical words, but I just need you to understand that that's all I have. She's all I have. And are you sure you know what you're doing? And he said, I've done this operation a million times. So I was like, okay, no worries. gave her over. And I remember I kissed her and I said to her dad, take her down. And it was a 9-hour operation as well.
9 hours.
9 hours. And she was only 5.5 pounds. So she was tiny. And they built her up a little bit. So she was a couple of pounds more. But when they took her, when he took her down, I just thought, this is it. She's going to get better. And he sent me pictures up in the lift of her. And there's some pictures on my page of her going down there was oxygen bags being taken with her. And they had to move quite quickly. Anyway, she went down to operation and her dad come up. And we thought, you know what? We'll go for a little walk. Went for a little walk along the river. And I remember I engraved her name on the side of the wall. And that's just kind of where it stayed. And I always go and see it and whatever else. And then time go by, an hour go by. And I thought, oh, God, this is a long time, you know. And then we got a phone call to say, hello, is that Sienna's mummy? I said, yep. And she said, your baby's out the operation. The operation was a success. So I was like, brilliant, amazing. Let's do this. This is brilliant. So I went back, walked into the room, and they said, but there's a problem. So I said, right, okay, what's the problem? So they said the operation was a success, but when you signed the thing, before Sienna went into the operation, I signed something to say Sienna would come up with her chest left open, right? So that for me, I was like, whoa, hold on a minute, what do you mean left open? And they said because the baby's so small, with the valves are something so tiny that if we clip them, she can have excessive bleeding. So if we do feel there could be an arrhythmia problem, we will leave her chest open. So I said,
they put like a clear
cellophane. Clear as that your colour of blue pink dress is not clear.
Yeah.
You can see everything, right? So I was like, right, okay, that's fine. As she come up, her chest was closed, but really tightly closed. So I thought, oh, if I'm honest, again, I was young. If I'm honest, she was out the operation. That's all I knew, and it'd gone a success.
You trusted her.
That's what we do. We get this doctor in front of us and we take what they say as gospel.
Yeah.
And that's just because we don't know. We're not doctors. And they said, it's a success, da-da-da. So I said, okay, can I ask, why is her chest closed? And they said, we think that there may have been a little bit of a clippage in the operation, but we're not sure. So we've just closed it because we think that it's okay, but she may have a cardiac arrest. So I was like, right, okay, but just in case, but we don't think that's minimal chance. So I was like, okay. So there's every day on the station in PICU and ECU, you've got a nurse. So she then had a nurse every day on 24-hour watch, one nurse. My understanding is if a baby, you wasn't sure which way that operation went, I believe she should have been on a 24-hour watch. And I do believe that I should have been told there's a possibility more so than what we think. I think it wasn't the whole truth, what I was told.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't the whole truth. And I know that in my gut. I know something went wrong, but I'm not at that stage yet. So when after about 10 minutes, the nurse we're sitting there, my family all outside, and it's great. The nurse went to me, you can go for something to eat. She said, it was a success. We're fine, I'm here. And honestly, I can honestly say that is the worst part for me. I regret that, and I will regret that till the day I die. I left my baby, and I left her on her own without her mum. And that for me is fucking hard, That for me is hard because, do you know what thank you. The hardest thing is, for me, if I didn't go, would she have suffered? Did she look round for me? Was I not there? And that does me in daily. And that's something that I want to try and explain to mums, that's not in our control. I didn't know my baby was going to suffer. So I left. Bearing in mind, I left her with my mum. My mum was there. His mum was there. Yeah, but they told me I was fine to go. So when I went to Dulwich. I was walking along, me and him. Bearing in mind, I've been in that hospital for 3 weeks. I just needed a break. Yeah, and I walked along and we couldn't find anywhere to eat. And I've never told anyone this, but me and his friend rang and said, you only live around the corner, come to mine. I just needed a break.
Yeah, that's understandable.
And we went to his house, and I'll never forget, it was X Factor. X Factor was on. And we were sitting in the lounge, and I'll never forget it. There was about 3-4 of us there. And my phone started ringing. And I picked my phone up and it was the number. So I thought, oh, they're just ringing me to, it's a bit weird, my mum's there. So I said, hello. So I said, is that Sienna's mummy? So I said, yes. So she said, your baby's heart stopped. Your baby's having cardiac arrest. You need to get back here. So I said, right, okay. Is she okay, please? Like, what are you doing? And they said, we're trying to get her heart to restart again. I said, where's my mum? And they said, your mum's here, but we need you to get here. They can't do anything in a hospital without mum there. So if your baby's in trouble, unfortunately, they don't protect us, which is we're not the priority at the time, but we're the ones to deal with it after. So they said, do you need to get here quick? So I said, okay. And obviously my mum's incredible, but other than my dad, my nan is just my go-to. Like, my nan she's everything. Like, she's amazing. And I remember I rang my nan and I said, hi, Nan. She said, and at the time my nan was battling cancer. And she didn't tell any of us because she didn't, obviously what we had going on with the baby, she didn't want us to know. And I rang my nan and I remember saying to my nan, Nan, can you get to the hospital? And she said, yeah, no, I will. I said, Nan, please don't let my baby die. Please don't let my baby die. And I remember saying it. I must have said it 300 times. And my nan just kept letting me say it over and over again. And then my phone rang again. And my partner was trying to call a cab for us and trying to get us there quick. And his friend went, I'll take you. Got me in the car. But that's the first time in this whole thing when I felt the physical sensation of a loss of any kind. It was there and then. I had this sensation go from my hands all the way through my body, down my legs, down to the tip of my toes. This numbness in my hands, like a tightness as well, where my hands would be like, I know what it is now, but at the time I didn't. My legs just wouldn't let me walk. I collapsed. And I remember my partner's friend Ollie picked me up and took me into the car. And then they rang again and they said, Sienna's mummy. And I just couldn't talk, Dan. Like, I couldn't talk. And I just kept saying over and over in my head, save my baby, save my baby. And then they said, can you put Sienna's mummy on the phone? He said, Sienna's dad. And they said, well, you need to get here quickly. We've now got 15 to 20 members of staff in this room doing compression on your baby's heart. Like, we need to stop this. And I just remember screaming, please don't stop. If you stop, I'm going to lose my baby. And I just remember trying to get there as quick, went through every red light there was possible, and I got to my daughter. And I remember I was at the back of Evelina, where the children's hospital is, and there's all the ambulances there, and I couldn't walk. I couldn't physically walk to get myself in there, and they just kept ringing. They just kept ringing back. I guess they think if this baby's life goes, we need to make as much contact with the mum as possible. Yeah. And I just said, she said, is it okay to do what we need to do? I said, just do what you need to do, but save my child.
Yeah.
And my husband picked me up, walked me to the hospital, took me up the stairs. When we got to the lift, he just banged on the lift. But then when you get to the doors are locked.
You've got to wait, yeah.
I could just remember, he just kicked the doors through, went through, and this is all in a cubicle, bearing in mind. They hadn't taken... This is what I mean about protecting other people too. There was a girl next to me, and her baby was going in the next operation. Now, bearing in mind, you've got a new baby there. He's going in for a TGA operation. The baby next door's got 15 members of staff in there. And when I'm talking, I am honestly being deadly serious. There was blood everywhere. On every wall, every girl's... Bearing in mind, these girls are just normal nurses. God. All over their face. It was horrific. It was like something out of a
from
my little girl, yeah. So when I walked in the room, all I could hear was next, and it was just there was 20 of them around her doing each. And what they said to me is, as I walked in the room, I was just like, I've never seen anything like it in my life. And they took me into a side room, and they basically said, she's had a cardiac arrest, and she can't breathe properly.
Where was the blood coming from?
So what happened was, where her chest was closed, she had the cardiac arrest. So if they would have left her chest open like they said they would have, it would have been easier to access.
So but where was the blood? Like, if there's blood everywhere,
they had to rip her open.
Yeah.
It's literally as brutal as that, Dan. They had to rip her chest open. It was obviously scarred. It was obviously sewn up.
And did you see all of this?
I wasn't there, but my mum was. So obviously my mum was there. Was that God's way of taking me out of the room there and then? I don't know.
And your mum?
My mum took that one for me, yeah. But it was one of them. As I walked in, it was like the curtains were... And there was just a girl next to me with her baby. They don't... And they should take them... Listen, there's a room there. protect other mums, you know. Like, I'm not talking about, don't protect me. I'm already in this. And it was one of them put me in a side room, and then two doctors come in, took their gloves off. And I remember I was against the wall. I slid against the wall, and I can remember being on the floor. I knew what was going on, but my body was just, I think it was the first kind of fight or flight I've ever felt. Just zoned. I remember Chloe being in the corner of the room, some of my friends, family, everyone had got there quick because we thought she was going to die there and then. Then they've come in the room and said, right, your daughter, her heart's not pumping. We're doing it for her with our fingers. I said, are you still doing it now? And they said, yeah. They said, we need to let you know that 15 minutes to 5 to 15 minutes of compression on a fully grown man is brain dead for the rest of his life. He said, your baby's had nearly 2 hours.
Oh, God.
So I said, right. So she said, but we don't give up. Listen, I've got to be honest, St Thomas's Hospital, it was amazing. It was amazing in the lead up to that. In that operation, I can't talk for because I weren't there. And I've done a hell of a lot of research since on that surgeon, and he went on to kill 3 children a year after. Yeah, at Oxford and Cambridge. So...
And he's not practising anymore?
He'd been taken to court. He was taken to court, and he was let off from court. One of them being oxygen not pressed into a baby's nose properly. Quite a few things, which I've always known. I knew something didn't go right. And then they put me in the room and they said to me, you know, we have to let you know that she could have brain damage, but we're not going to give up. We're going to try and get her on something called an ECMO machine. So I said, right, what's that? And he said, it's something where we basically put tubes into a baby's heart, we plumb it into the heart, and it works the heart for it. It gives her time to rest. It works her heart for her for a while until we think that's enough time, and then she's got to do it on her own. So I said, right, okay. He said, but this is now a roller coaster because we need to put you in this room in the understanding that we could come in 20 minutes and tell you she hasn't got on that machine and she's failed and she's died. So I said, right, okay. And I don't even know how I got through that day, if I'm honest, but I did. And they came in and they said, we need to wait for a professor to come. There's only 2 professors in the whole country that can put a baby on this ECMO machine. I said, what? Two professors? And where's he coming from? She said, Cambridgeshire. I said, so I have to wait.
So they've got to keep going, working on her. The whole time they're trying to get hold of him and get him to get there. Oh, my goodness.
So they was working on her. And I swear that's what done it. So the fingers, complete compression the whole time. And then they came in, the professor came, and I'll never forget him. I research him all the time just to have a familiar face, because I forget Sienna's face a lot. A lot. You know, like when you go on holiday and your kids go away from you and you're away and it's lovely, you're all brown and your mum's got and you think, oh, it's lovely. And you think, oh, I just want to speak to my kids. I just want to see my kids. That, for me, it was my first baby, and I just wanted it all to be over. Even if it meant, and this is going to sound really brutal now, and I'm honest, even if it meant taking her, just don't let her suffer like this.
Yeah, no, I honestly think that as a mother, when you just said, like, that she was going to be brain dead, I can't put myself in that position, but I think that I might just go stop working on her. But then the flip side of that is you don't want to say goodbye, but you know she's... The selfless thing to do is to let her go.
And you know the worst thing? For me, now, if I was in it now, I think as women we have a lot more knowledge on things now. You know, like vaccines, hospitals, what they do, like everything that's going on in our world. I think we're a lot more open eyes to now as women. And I would have done things so different back then if it was now.
Yeah,
but would we all?
Hindsight is the one.
I think a lot of people say that.
But I think, and I am someone that I do let my children have vaccines. We spoke about that previously. I worry more about the risk of them not having it. So I'm more of a worrier that if they were to get meningitis, what would happen?
So this is it now. If you ask a girl like me, I'm one of these. I've got all my friends against vaccines. All my friends are against vaccines, against things that are in our foods, all things like that. I'm very open-eyed to it and I'm not silly from it. But I also have been that mum whose child has died.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to be on that side of a fence and go, oh, I wouldn't vaccinate my children, or each their own.
Yeah, and
it
is personal choice.
But unless you've ever been in a situation where
you're faced with, listen, if you're in a room and someone goes to you, have this vaccine or your baby's going to die now of that, you'd go, give my baby that vaccine. Because I would rather my kid being with that 200,000 other kids that don't die than be in that room again. Than be in that room again. I'd rather my kid have autism.
Now they cause, and have
100%, 100%. And that's each to their own. I'm not
and
saying
it's personal
anyone...
choice, and nobody should make you feel bad if you choose not to vaccinate or bad.
I'm against vaccinating, but I vaccinated all my kids.
Yeah.
Because I've been on the other side of her. I've been walking out of a mortuary before with my kid there.
Without
so
your
I don't want to be
baby.
there again. So you know what? If it means vaccinating them, I was vaccinated. As a kid, a lot of my friends' kids were, but then they've decided with their second child they're not. So there's no difference between that kid and that kid.
But I am pro NHS, and I do think that we've got an amazing, compared to some countries that have no, health support system. We are very, very lucky and very, very blessed. However, now, like some had a small procedure last month, but I was like looking it up. I made the surgeon explain everything to me. I asked to see his steady hands before I sent her down. But I was like, show me your hands. Are they steady? And he was like, yep. I was like, you didn't have a drink last night, did you? Yeah, I did. And that was a very, very straightforward procedure. But that's me now as a 37-year-old. Me when I had her at 19, I would have just gone, take my baby and fix her. Yeah. I wouldn't have asked questions. I wouldn't have done all of that. So you're right. As older parents, and you were young and it was your first, I would have gone out of the hospital. I don't think.
And you know what's so strange you say that, because that resonates with me so much, because so many people say, and listen, I'm I'm one of them at the front line going, you hurt my baby. You done something to my baby, and I'm not all for the NHS like that. But in some ways, I do look and think, wow, do you know what? Like, half of the stuff that we go through, we do need to really open our eyes up as women and go, do you know what? Yeah, okay, they are saying that, but realistically, would you rather be like that than like that? Like, there is so many things that you have to look at. And yeah, okay, we all go, the NHS is so shit, the NHS is so shit. But if we was all in trouble, say like, God forbid, touch wood, tomorrow you're in trouble and your kids are in pain, where are you going to go?
Exactly. But I feel
and
like
if they
that
start doing
about
all these
the
things
police
in a...
as well. It's like, oh, the police, but we are lucky that we've got that. And if your child were to be, God forbid, hurt or
you don't trust them all of a sudden.
You would want that help. So there's good and bad in everyone.
I think it's all about us, how we go into it. If we do our research, like you said, everyone eats.
We've got a responsibility as mothers to do a certain amount of research. But I don't think you could have done anything differently. It's normal that you're going to beat yourself up and you're going to think, I should have done this and I should have done that. That's what we do as human beings with a certain amount of conscience. Yeah. But you couldn't have done anything differently.
No. And I think with that, so what then happened is they then said to me, we've managed to get her onto this machine. She's done really well. She's on the machine. We was like, brilliant. So it's like 1 minute we're up, the next minute we're down, the next minute we're up, the next minute we're down.
You must have been exhausted.
Honestly, it was. And that's why I'm so glad. I'll actually give you a box. I'm going to show you it now.
Yeah, show us what's in the box.
And anyone whose child's been in hospital or PICU or NICU, it's basically just a little book that they give you. And it really takes your time away, because in there, you're just sitting looking at four walls. And it just basically explains everything she'd done daily, and pictures of her when she first came out of the operation. So that, not when she first was born.
Can we show the camera?
Yeah.
So that,
so
shall I
here's
hold it up closer?
You can see it.
Can you, yeah?
And it basically just explains. So we thought obviously she was coming home. So this is a nice thing. When they get older, it just shows them their little life, what they've been through, what they managed to come out of. There's our little stickers that was on her chest.
Oh, that's so lovely.
Yeah, and then things
and
like...
do you get to make... So did you write all this?
No, these are all the nurses. And then I can write if there's a day I want to write. So that's her dad, that's me, and that was her. And it's just write things like, so like, Sienna, hello, beautiful girl. My name is Jenny, and I have been looking after you today. You've been a superstar, and you have worked very hard. You're trying really hard with your breastfeeding, but Mummy doesn't like it so much.
Fair enough.
Our song, Winnie the Pooh, my mum would sing Winnie the Pooh to her.
Oh,
and then
it
was things like, and this, For me, like I just said to you guys, I don't have any nice pictures.
Can I have a look?
Yeah. So I brought one for you to just see.
Oh, God bless her little heart.
And then, yeah, I mean, that book is there for you to do your writing.
Is this after the compression?
That's before the compression. Is her chest open there?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's after, yeah.
It's after?
Yeah, that's how they left the chest. And that's how they left it for me for 5 days. So we had our book too, because
So
obviously
this is after the initial surgery?
that's after the initial surgery. That's when
Okay,
she
so the
come
chest
up
is
from
closed.
the chest is closed. And when your child has a TGA, that would be something that they recommend for a chest to be left open just in case of any arrhythmia problem, because a baby's chest they're so tiny. Tying them up again, it's quite.
Your heart wasn't beating effectively, and so the doctors and nurses on the unit had to help your heart by doing compressions. The surgeons came to the unit and opened your chest to see if they could find the cause of you becoming so unwell. The cause of you becoming so unwell. When the surgeons had a look, they couldn't find a cause, and so we decided to put you on a machine which does a job, your heart and lungs. This machine is called a EMO machine. ECMO. Overnight, needed to give you lots of blood products to help you and help the machine work. Your mummy and daddy and lots of other family were present last night while you were poorly. When they could see you, they held your hands and gave you kisses. And so then this is after, once they put her on the machine and they'd opened the chest to find the issue.
And they still didn't find the issue.
They didn't find an issue.
No, but that's not what she died of.
Okay. Continue. You go.
And then they, so they've got this book. So every now and then, once you've gone in to see your baby, it's every day's a waiting game. So she'd run this machine, and then it's like, you know, you wake up in the morning. We was in Ronald McDonald. Guys, if you ever go to McDonald's and you've got a spare 5p, just chuck it in the thing, because
it all goes to children.
Honestly, if you ever need to humble yourself, walk into Ronald McDonald House, or just a child, Evelina, anything at all, because it's a different world. Like, I would walk in the morning, I'd go in and see her, morning maybe, go in, get your coffee, put it under the machine, and then there's like all the families you've been with every day. And then one of them will be like, you know, it's the 10th today, that baby's dying today at 3 o'clock. Or they're turning that machine off today of that baby.
Oh, my God.
It's just, you become friends with people. And we had this one nurse, and it's really funny actually, and I haven't told you this yet, but when Sienna died, mine and her number was always 1111. Like, always. And all my appointments when I had Sloane, my other little girl that I've got now, were all 11:11. So I thought, that's really weird, like, all these appointments. So anyway, when Sloane was born, my other little girl, she was cesarean, but I went in for natural labour. She come out at 11:11, lifted up. They said, and bearing in mind the girls that were in there, the surgeons, they didn't know. They said, someone's got an angel baby. So I said, yeah, my little girl died. And she said, well, this is your little girl. And then Kaylee all of a sudden said to me, we're coming on Friday. And it wasn't until this morning I looked, and it's the 11th. And then I put in my sat-nav, how to get here, and I arrived at 11:11. So I knew
the universe.
Today was for me. And yeah, I mean, it kind of was one of them where you never know, like even when my friends would come in there, they'd go, Till, in here, like, there's no break. There's no air. There's no, even them rooms. At that point, Sienna was so unwell, Ronald McDonald was too far because of what happened to her. So what they said is, you need to be in the hospital. So I said, okay, how much closer do you want me to, where can I be? So she said, we're going to put you on the same level as Sienna in a room. When I tell you guys, this room must have been like that small. It was tiny. There was a phone in it, no windows, just a mattress on the floor. And they said, if that phone rings, you need to rush to her. No windows, no anything. So every night I had to leave there, go there, sleep. And this one night I was sitting there, and I remember I was just falling off to sleep and the phone rang. I thought, please no. That's what done it for me. That's what changed me as a person, all that.
The phone ring.
Everything.
Does the phone ring
everything.
trigger
The
you
whole
now?
My God, I can't have a home phone. And she rang me, she said, just checking that your line's working.
Oh my God.
But it was a constant. Like, come running down, coming back up. My heart rate's dropped, this, that. And so I think my life prepared me for what was coming before it even happened.
So you're constantly living in a state of
Living on high alert,
anxiety, yeah.
the whole time. And then they said to me, you know, like, we're going to try and get a couple of days have gone past. And I built friendships in there.
Yeah.
Like, there was a really lovely Indian lady who I become friends with, and her baby died a couple of days before Sienna. And I remember I was in the thing with her, and the doctors come in, and it's literally just can you come outside a moment? Yeah. We think today's the day. And it's like there's no warning, and that girl's friends aren't there. So when you need your best mate's arm around you,
there.
I couldn't, and that's your life. You're navigating your life. My friend was at home looking after her child.
Yeah, of course.
When Sienna first died, I obviously needed the yearn to be a mum when you've just lost yours is next to none.
Because it's like your hands are empty. Those
your hands are
that were
empty,
full,
your belly
arms
still
are
hurts,
empty.
your private parts are still sore,
Yeah.
but you've got everything in your... Bearing in mind, my nursery was done to a T.
Oh, no.
So I had the baby pink nursery with the curtains and the silver cross. Everything was all ready in abundance. Like, it was like I've always wanted a little girl. It was all ready. All my baby bags, everything was there. And it just wasn't supposed to happen. And I remember them saying, right, we've got her on the machine now. We're now going to be in the couple of days where we're building her back up. So we're on the road. Like, it's amazing. Like, we're going to get better. We're going to be fine. So then everyone started coming. Family members. Bearing in mind, her chest is still open. So family members are coming. His friends, my friends, aunts, uncles. I've got a big family. So everyone was just coming.
And you're quite an outgoing person that you would be welcoming of...
Well, and that's the hard thing. You don't want to tell people no, because I've had her hidden for so long. She's been through all this operation. Come and see my baby.
Yeah, you're proud as well.
They was coming in, and when you go into a NICU, you wash your hands at this thing, you dry them, but obviously you've been on trains, you've been on transport, everything's... And these baby, her chest's open. So all my family were coming in. It could have been that, could have been not been that. I don't know.
Was it an infection?
Yeah, so then after a couple of days, they said, right, now we're going to try and get her back on the machine again. So I said, right, okay. She said, this is another big, massive hurdle we've got to get over. So then all the surgeons come down. Then they noticed that there was a murmur on her brain, like some golf balls that looked like golf balls on the brain. So I said, I want Kings straight away. Kings come on the screens, FaceTimed. They've done some scans. And they said, no, it's just a shadow on her brain. So, but she didn't have that before. So I was a little bit, what does that mean?
Could that have been caused by the brain damage from the
so.
compression?
I think so, yeah. And they didn't want to say to me, you're going through all of this because it's your baby. But it's like saying, well, you know, your child might make it, but, you know, let's cut it off now just in case. No way. Let's run with everything. So I think they was trying to let me know what could possibly happen. And my baby was born, okay, she had a heart defect, but she was born a normal... In that at NICU, she was one of the only babies that had like only 1 to 2 tubes. She was the most unillest baby in there.
Really?
And she was the only one that didn't go home. The only one that didn't go home. I mean, twins went home, born 1.5 pound each. And I know these twins because I've seen them since, all these things. And she was the only one that didn't go home. So then they said, you know, we're going to try and get her back on this ECMO machine. What that would do is it would enable her body to retrain itself again, to start pumping. We won't just leave her on her own, because I thought, what if you go to put it on and she doesn't? Is she then going to die in front of me? What? And they said, well, we don't really know yet until we're there. Everything's we don't really know. They will never give you a 100%.
They can't, can they? If they say your baby's going to be absolutely fine, then you can sue them because they've given you false hope.
So then they said, you know, we're going to go in this room. And I opted not to be there. I said, I don't want to, I'm going to be in another room. And then they come in, gloves off, brilliant, she's done it. And I was like, yes, my girl, she's done it. Like, this is amazing. We're going to be able to hold. And they was like, you can hold your baby tomorrow. So I was like, oh my God, we're going home. So the chest is still open. So I said to them, right, okay. So anyway, this one day I was sitting there, and bearing in mind they had a nurse every single day to her station. And it took me, as her mum, to say this. There was like at one of her tubes, there was like this white stuff coming out of her tube, but the tubes were obviously pumping all around the body. Where she's had so many tubes put in her, when she had the cardiac arrest, they didn't have time to move her to a sterile place. So they teared her chest open in this cubicle, and they run the risk of an infection. So I just said, can you test this, please? I don't know what that is. She was like, oh, yeah, like, it's fine. We'll test it. We'll get it tested. I said, no, can you test it now? I don't feel comfortable with it. And they come back about 45 minutes later and said, yeah, it's sepsis. It's everywhere. It's in her brain. It's in her heart. It's in her stomach. It's everywhere. Everywhere in her body, behind her eyes, everywhere. So I said, right, okay, what does that mean? And he said, well, you know, we'll keep testing, but it was kind of like it's an infection. Okay. Sepsis is a...
Did they treat the sepsis?
Yeah. So then they said to me, right, what we're going to do is we're going to try to treat the sepsis, but we need to know how far it's gone. So I said, right, okay. The next, about an hour and a half later, they said, we're liaising with King's, but we think it's quite far advanced. I said, okay, and that was on the 13th of September. My birthday was the next day, on the 14th. And I woke up and that morning on my birthday, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was some kind of intuition telling me, but something told me to go up and see her on my own. And he said, I'll come with you. So I said, no, it's all right. I just want to be on my own with her. It's my birthday. It's the first time I've ever been a mum. Let me just go up to her on my own. And I remember I walked up the stairs and they was all waiting for me in a line. And I said, you all waiting for me, aren't you? And they said, yeah. So I said, right, okay. I said, is my baby going to die? And they said, we think you need to turn the machine off. So I said, it's my birthday today. So they said, but you can wait till tomorrow if you want. So I said, look, if I wait till tomorrow, what does that mean? I said, am I going to keep coming in and looking at my baby and she's going to keep looking through me like that? I said, because my baby weren't looking at me like that last week. I said, my baby got brain damage. And they said, yeah, your baby's going to die. And I said, right, okay. So I said, can you move out the way? I need to go into my baby. And I remember they all moved out the way and I went in. And she was just laying there. And every day when I walked in, she'd look up at me. She'd just say, it's my mum. And this time I walked in and she never. And I put my hand out. I remember I put my hand out to put her thumb in my hand. And she wouldn't grip it anymore. And I said to my mum, I don't think she's there anymore. And I remember my mum called everyone. My friends, my family, everyone to come up to me. And they all come in a room individually. And I remember, never forget it, my nurse, young girl, she must have been about 28. And she was just traumatised. She was just looking at me like, wow. And I would never forget, I looked around to say, do you do it here? Do you not take me anywhere? It was like, no. And I remember all my friends come in. I haven't got many friends. I've got 3 really good mates. One of them had a baby, my friend Sydney, she had a baby the same day as me in hospital. And I remember when Sienna got put on the machine, my mum went to me, just to let you know, Sid's had her baby. So I said, take me to see her. And my mum went, what? And I said, that's not that baby's fault. That baby's tiny and that's my friend's baby and that's not her fault. So she said, Till, I don't think that's a good idea. I said, take me to see that baby.
Did you want to see another baby and hold another baby?
I just needed to see her. Yeah, because I knew that I loved that friend so much that if I pull myself away from that baby, I've built up a resentment against her, and that's not fair. So I went and saw her, just pulled back the curtains, and I remember she had loads of mops of jet black hair. And I just stroked her little face, and I kissed my friend, and I walked out. And that was tough for my friend. That was very tough for my friend.
The guilt she must have felt to have still had that baby and you lost yours.
Yeah.
Was it in the same hospital then?
Yeah, same ward, everything. And I'll never forget it. The day she walked out with her baby, I went outside just to get some air. And I remember sitting on the wall like this, just sitting there, and I was on my own, and I see her come out. And I will never forget how that made me feel. She walked out and her baby, I'll never forget it. She was laying there and just how it should be.
It's so
and she was walking out, but I could see the pain in her eyes looking at me. And that's something us as women, we can't control.
Even for her, like the trauma of having to come out and see you sitting there on your own.
Yeah, and I know she went home and I know that hurt her. Because it's like, it's something you can go, send a picture to your mates, and it's something that we got robbed of.
And it should have been like the best time of
best
her life.
time ever.
And
I told myself from the beginning, from that day, and I don't know whether it's because I'm a little bit stronger minded, I don't know, but I told myself anything to do with that little girl I can't miss. Because I knew that my friend, as much as it's hard for me, it's also hard for her because it's not her child's fault. So I didn't want to lose a friendship.
Such an amazing way for you to have looked at
I didn't want to lose a friendship, so I battled them hurdles because I knew I'm going to go through first birthdays, I'm going to go through that, and what am I never going to go?
Yeah.
And I had to nip that in the bud there and then. And I remember she left and she would text me still, but it was we drifted a bit. And that was a tough pill to swallow. Very tough pill to swallow.
Do you think she found it harder to be around you than you?
I don't know. I think maybe. I found it quite difficult with her little girl growing up at the beginning. Like little pictures I'd seen. Or first couple of weeks together, I'd look and it would eat me up. And I'd be laying in a bed with nothing.
The pain.
Empty. Nothing. And when I lost my baby, I went through quite a lot of domestic violence. Right, so we didn't deal with grief okay. He had to stop working and we was both in the hospital with Sienna. So we had no income whatsoever. He started gambling.
It's the pressure it puts you both under alongside not knowing how to cope with grief.
I think men deal with it a lot differently.
Men can't
Do you know what? It's actually harder on men. I'm going to be honest, it's
they've
harder
got
on
to be
men.
strong for
He's
you.
watching me hurt,
Yeah.
who's also trying to keep my mum together when she's crying about me on the side without me seeing. He's also trying to be there for me, but also listen to everything in hospitals that he needs to. And then it's like the woman gets so much love.
He's trying to be the strong one.
He's trying to be a strong one, and it broke him down. He's got no family. He doesn't speak to his family. He's got very much on his own in that aspect. But growing up, he didn't have a very good upbringing at all. And I'm a massive believer in if that happens to a man when he's growing up, that's how his life's going to go forward.
Yeah.
And
if you don't learn coping skills in your earlier years, because I had 4 miscarriages, which is far
Please don't
it's
say what
terrible.
you're about to say. It's not as bad. It is as bad.
I don't want to say
is as
that. I
bad.
don't want to say that.
It is.
But I can only imagine through that. And I remember, I can feel what you're saying when you said you wanted to hold another baby. Because when I lost my third, I've had 4, I think it was the third.
And I wanted everyone to leave me alone in the room with the baby.
I just was going, get me a baby. I need to hold the baby.
And they tell you when you've just had a baby, you can't try for 6 months.
Yeah, and all you want to do is try again straight away.
So-
And it isn't even about, it becomes like an obsession, like you want the baby to fill the void. I was telling myself when they told me the baby was gone, well, it must have been a twin. There's the things your brain does and mental health-wise.
And we're still in hormones.
There must be another baby in there. It's probably a twin. It'll be all right tomorrow. I'll have a scan and there'll be another one in there. And it's everyone copes differently, but I can feel that pain where you just needed another baby.
And I wanted to say to
hold.
my mate, can you just give me your baby just for a few hours and just leave me for a little while, just so I can have that minute to myself.
But
And-
really, like,
you
and you know,
can't.
like I knew in my head, like, get me another baby. Like, it's not another thing you can just get. But the domestic violence that I suffered as well was heightened after miscarrying because he didn't know how to cope with the grief, and he was already a drinker and a drug taker, so he would just go off on
knock-off
benders.
effect. Yeah. Whereas if that was sorted from a child, that wouldn't be so.
Yeah.
So then that was him, and he would go and do quite a lot of gambling. One spin on a roulette, done everything, all the rent, all the rent money, and it was just that was his way of coping. Then they said to me, you know, it's her birthday, so it was my birthday. They said, you know, you can get as many people as you want to come and see her. We need to turn her machine off. So everyone came, Chloe, my best friend, my family, everybody came, gave her a kiss on the head. It was like kiss on the head, out. And they couldn't believe how much she'd overcome. So like going through the machine, or both machines, coming off of them, dealing with all of that and getting to this point, in my eyes, was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it is.
And she was so courageous, like
So
and I'm not
brave.
even just saying it because she was mine. I mean, I do have good-looking kids. I'm not gonna lie.
I want to see this
beautiful.
bigger
She's
picture. Can I
beautiful.
see this bigger one?
A little face.
Look at that.
nurses
That
would
is
come in.
Adorable.
Nurses would come in and go to me, can we just see her? But I've got another friend whose child died, and when he was born, oh my God, he was beautiful. There must be
She's
something
just
about
angelic.
a baby
She's
that
just perfect. But in all honesty,
this baby here and then her after that, she's just...
It's not the same baby.
It
so
is.
how can... And my thing was, once that happened, it was a thing of, right, they then went out of the room and the nurse that was there, she was only a young nurse, I said, what do you do now? It was just me and my partner. That's all I wanted it. And bearing in mind, throughout my whole life, I've only ever done stuff with my mum. Always. Like, I'm such a home girl. Like, I go away for like a week and a half on a girls' holiday, my first holiday. My mum will go to my dad. How long do you reckon? Give her about 4 days. Like, I'm such a home bird. And they all left me and I was in the room and then they turned the machine off and she was in my arms, he was behind me. And I'll never forget it. It had been like 10, 15 minutes. She was breathing by herself. And I said to the woman, this has been a long time. Like, is she all right? She checked her pulse. She said, yeah, she's still there. And then I was sitting there for a while, and then she put a music on, a soft music. And then it's so true what people say. I don't know if you guys have ever heard the gasp. That gasp. She was in my arms and I just felt her go, and that was it. She went on my birthday, yeah. But I could have swapped that. I could have been the next day, but I was born on my nan's birthday. So I knew there was something connected with me, my nan and her on them days, and then her with the 11-11, then with my new little girl. It's a connection, and every woman in my family is close. We're all very strong, very close women. So is that just a thing that was meant to happen for us? I don't know. I'm a massive believer that everyone's life's panned out for them. Everyone has a book when they're born. Doesn't matter what you do and what you do in between it. You've got the day you're born and you've got the day you die. And what happens in between that is up to you. We make our own life. We make our own happiness.
I think you did the best thing taking it. I mean, she would have been in pain.
And
So
I said to
this
them,
is extremely painful.
please tell me, like, what was painful for me was after seeing all these things online of people, you know, like these people whose children are dying and they take them to America and they give other options and all that.
Yeah.
I used to beat myself up for so long. Could I have done that? Could I have? Mickey said no, Till. We couldn't, because the minute you took her off that machine and took her in an ambulance, she would have died. So my thing was, I did the right thing and I waited until I was a mum on my birthday. And then they came in and they said, yep, she's passed away. And I just remember I howled for hours. And do you know what it was? It was and if you could have asked me, everyone's pain is different, whether you're 5 weeks pregnant, 5 months pregnant. There's a new law that's just come in now last week where you can... So when I was pregnant with Sienna died, 3 days after I gave birth to Sienna, I had a phone call, text, an email from my work to say, congratulations on having your baby. And I sent this to say, thank you very much, but unfortunately my child passed away. Horrific circumstances. Please give me some time to grieve and And it was because he waited 3 days. After the 3 days, he sent me an email sacking me and said to me,
No way.
yeah, he sacked me, you no longer now need maternity leave or a
you
break after because your baby's dead.
Fucking joking, mate.
A man of 65 years of age. He left me with nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Hence why my life went downhill. I had to start from the bottom. I had to go in a council flat. I had to do everything with my kids. And at the time, I was so like, what the hell? Like, my mum was like, don't worry about it. We will secure you. We'll look after you. And the minute he sacked me, I will never forget, we was all at my nan's for a while, and that's where I stayed for a long period of time with all my family. I mean, when Sienna passed, they put me in a side room with Sienna. And
how long were you allowed to... Yeah,
so they moved me into a side room for 45 minutes. And in that side room, so she said, I'm going to take your baby to make her a bit more acceptable for you. I thought, you know, they're going to sew her up, keep her so that she's nice for me. They brought her out in a white, and I don't know if you don't remember the white towel in Baby Grows. White towel in Baby Grows. Now, all I wanted to see was my baby in a white towel in Baby Grow.
Yeah.
They brought her out.
Because you probably hadn't really seen her dressed, had you?
Because of the tubes and everything.
tubes.
No.
So
And
when was this photograph taken?
that photograph was taken. That was the time I said to you, the couple of days.
When she was born.
In
This
between.
is soon
That
after
was
she
soon
was
after
born,
when she
before
was-
her surgery.
Before her surgery, and that's the time
happiest time.
happiest time of my life.
I mean, apart from the tube, she looks like a healthy baby.
And the nurses said if we could have put our life on it, it would have been that baby we said went home. And that one. And they put me in a side room with her, and then when they brought her out to me, because they quickly took her to get a dress, they brought her out, and as they moved the blanket, the white Baby Grow was seeping of blood.
Oh, good God.
They didn't stitch her up properly. And now that is something that should be in normal training.
And
Like,
that was your last memory
that
of
was
her,
my
like,
last memory of my baby. And I will never forget that room. I would like to do something in the long run, and I will do it, but I'm just not at that point yet, where there's something that you can get, and it's kind of like a coddle, it's like called a coddle cot.
You've heard of these?
And it's basically like, so when a child passes like me, if there's a child, say for instance you was in having your baby and you get an infection, your baby's alive, they would go and take that baby out with her baby who's deceased and tell her she has to go now to put you in the side room. And that is literally, the nurses, we hate doing it.
Oh, no,
and if we could, we'd put the lady with the infection in a hallway and put the baby that's deceased in there with her mum. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. So you get 35 minutes with your baby. I don't know if it's changed now, but to be with them after, and that's it. You're telling me them babies who have never been held by their mum don't want one-on-one skin time, an actual laying next to their baby in one of them cots. Let them feel that feeling. Let them have that moment, because in a minute you're about to take them and we all know where they're going. So please just let us have that. And that wasn't available to me. So that time come when they came in the room and they said, you know, your baby needs to come out now. You need to come out now. And I said, where are we going? And she kind of looked at my mum as if to say, no, they're not going anywhere together. Like she's going that way and she's going that way. And I remember that was, honestly, I'm going to be honest, that and the walking in the room was the two worst parts.
Like actually handing her over.
Actually, there's one thing her dying, but then there's another thing hearing. You need to go that way and you need to go that way. And you know what it's like when you're at your mum's house and you're downstairs and she's downstairs doing the bottle and you're upstairs having a little nap. You can't wait. You just want to know, is my baby all right? Just want to know, you're like neurotic, aren't you? Where's my baby? Where's my baby? And I remember she said, right, it's time to go now. And I walked out and my mum went, Till, you got to pass her over. I said, pass her over to who? She said, this lady. And I'll never, ever forget it. I was so numb how I even did it, because honestly, if you told me now I had to pass one of my kids over to someone, I'd say, take me, because I wouldn't be doing it. I wouldn't be. I sleep with my baby still, 1 6, 1 7. Oh, no, I couldn't care less. I sleep with him still the day before he gets married. I don't care, and his wife can wait outside. I don't care. But it was kind of a night, and I had, my partner took her from me. And he said, you know, and I will never forget it. I passed her over. And it was so inhumane how it's done, so inhumane. And I can never understand how we're expected to just do it that quickly. That day when you've carried that baby for 9 months. And I just remember I walked down the corridor, one of them, them echoey corridors. And as I looked behind me, she was just walking that way with her in her arms, And I knew, do you know what was the worst thing? I knew where she was going.
To the mall.
To the mall, and so then we went home and we went to my nan's. I don't drink, never drink, ever, ever, ever. I'm not a drinker. The minute I have a drink, I would be depressed out of my brains. I'd cry and be neurotic. It's just not for me. But we drunk. We drunk, all of us drunk. Yeah. Not a lot, but we'd all have a little vodka and tonic, gin and tonic. We'd all just have Chinese. We spent time in a lounge, all of us, me, my mum, my nan, my dad, my brother and him. Just being family, just remembering who we are. Because when your back's against the wall and there really is nothing like money, no money in the world. My nan was there and she said, Till, I went, take me to a private hospital. She said, honestly, you realise what you're saying? Even if you're the richest person in the world and you opt to go to a private hospital, you're stupid. Because there is no help for your baby there. If your baby's banging trouble, there's nothing to help them. So she said, you did the best thing you could have done. There's nothing more you could have done. And I remember the next morning I woke up, that was the one. That was the stomach in the, because you don't sleep.
Waking up and remembering.
Where's my baby? And then all of a sudden, right.
It hits you.
Oh my God, it hits you. And then everyone's baby's on Instagram. You go to walk out the door and the pram's there. And I wanted to hurt everybody.
Oh, I don't blame you.
I wanted to hurt everyone. I wanted to keep going up to Evelina and hurting people. It was just a neurotic state of mind. Do you know what I did the whole time? I puffed. The whole time. Because I just couldn't take the edge.
No one would blame you.
I couldn't take the edge off of that. Of what was happening. It was either I took my own life or I carried on. And my mum and dad weren't going to let me do that. You didn't have
any other children, so it would have been a real thing in my head to have thought, I'm going to kill myself.
And I never hurt myself. Listen, everyone's different.
But you have struggled with
eating disorders, haven't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
a form of hurting yourself,
I have.
depriving
I
yourself
have.
of the
and
nutrition.
that didn't kick in until the first year. I was very numb. I didn't leave my house. I've always been like a 16 stone girl. Very big.
16 stone.
16?
Oh, massive. Huge,
sure?
huge.
Was you?
Huge,
No.
yeah. Massive, big girl. When I got married, I was huge, yeah.
No.
Yeah. Really, really
I can't
big.
imagine
I
you
can't
big.
imagine you
Yeah,
big.
really big girl. And then it wasn't until I hit the second stage. When the second stage hits in, wow, that's when you come from the person you used to be to the person you are now. It's tough. It is such a tough stage to be in because everyone's life's gone on. So I can't remember the funeral now. I could remember it then, and that was the one thing that kept going around in my head was the funeral. I didn't have flowers because I didn't want flowers. I just wanted balloons and money to Evelina. So we all let off balloons, and we have flowers, at my nan's or whatever else. But other than that, I couldn't remember a lot. And I think that was God's way of just keeping me saying, we're not going to make you remember anything. I can't remember who was there. I can't remember how it even went. But after the funeral, it was kind of now everyone's life goes on. And I was very lucky because my best friend, Chloe, she had a little girl at the time, Sophia. And she just let me kind of bring her up with her.
Yeah.
And for me, that was what got
Give
me.
you the purpose.
It got me through.
We need
That little
purpose
girl
to get us
saved my
through.
life.
Yeah.
She saved my life because I was at a stage where my friend was at a stage in her life where it was actually quite helpful to have a bit of help as well. She was working, whatever else. And for me, that was the only little girl other than Sienna I've ever loved. Ever, like properly loved. And that my partner felt comfortable with. So we would have her at my house, I'd have her over the weekend, and, I'd take her out and she'd stay at mine. And I got my love and that mummy feeling in her.
You need
So
to,
nice.
when you're that depressed, you have to do whatever it is that brings you joy.
And she calls me Titty from a little girl because she couldn't say Tilly. And she's 11 now and she still calls me Titty.
That is so cute.
So, and I swear
hilarious.
by, if I didn't have that, and that is who gets you through.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's not
Yeah.
what gets you through, because there is not anything in this world that gets you through that stage. Nothing. And I tried a counsellor. I've tried SANS. There's a group called
Yeah.
SANS, which a lot of people have done, and I'm all for it if you do that. But it's a group. And my mum went, come on, we'll try SANS. Because I was in the second year, wasn't going out, losing loads of weight, not eating. So obviously my digestive system is completely and utterly ruined.
If you ate, because if I'm struggling with trauma, I wake up and that feeling of things hitting me and I physically throw up. Will you physically sick in the moment?
Yeah, physically sick.
So
physically
it's impossible to eat.
Yeah, and sometimes I
because-
make myself sick.
Yeah, so you...
Because making myself sick, and I've never spoke about this before in my life.
So bulimia as well.
And what it is making myself sick is I've got neurological functioning disorder. And it wasn't until in 2019 I got to a point where I was losing so much weight. I thought, what's going on here? Like, I can't eat. I can't. And it's only like 2-3 years after Sienna. What's happening? Miller was born, my little boy, my next little boy. Hudson was born. And I thought, this is not right. And it wasn't until a couple of years after I thought, well, it can't be the trauma. I went for a scan and they said, you've got to have a gallbladder removed. You've got a polyp on your gallbladder. It's going to turn cancerous. We need to get it out. So I said, okay, this is in Farnborough. I never have an operation in Farnborough. They perforated my stomach through to the other side.
No way.
And I woke up, listen to this, still under anaesthetic. They brought me a piece of paper and made me sign to say that I'd had a perforation. And I was screaming for my mum and they wouldn't get her. Obviously 30 years of age and I'm screaming for my mum.
Yeah,
but
you do. No
I just
matter
wanted
what
my
age, you
mum.
need
I
your
just
mum.
wanted my mum. And when you've had grief, your mum becomes your best friend.
Your support system.
Because you feel like you're boring your
co-
mates. You're
Yeah.
constantly talking about grief. You're constantly, and that's someone I never want to be. I never want to be drowned by grief. So, like, I don't want to be, like, you'll never come in my house and see pictures of Sienna.
You don't want the grief to define you.
No. So
It's
what
not
I would-
your whole life. Like, you
No.
still want to have a happy existence.
I still want to have a happy life. So what my thing was, if I play the whole, I'm fine, I'm till, everything's fine, I'll be fine. So
You're
I
putting on
learned-
the front, though. You're masking.
I learnt to deal with the situation by, so what they did is they'd done the operation. When I come up, I was in agony. And they said, oh, it's normal, that pain will go. The pain never went. They said, we've perforated your tummy, but it's fine, nothing's happened. You'll be able to eat normally. Could never eat normally again after that. Couldn't eat normally. So I would have like a soup or I can eat like broth, things like that. I eat quite well. I eat loads of seafood. I love seafood, but I can't digest proper food since my trauma.
So does it sort of sit there and you'd rather bring it up? It's
It
like
sits
a lump.
in my food. It sits on my food tube like a lump.
Rock, yeah.
And I've been to see I went to see one counsellor when Sienna first died, and I sat in front of her. This was about after a couple of months, and she went to me, "So, how do you feel?" So honestly, I said, "How do you think I feel?" I said, "Can I ask you something?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Have you ever lost a child?" So she said, "No." So I said, "So you've got children?" She said, "Yes." I said, "So you've bathed your kids and got them all ready for school, and you've come here and you're about to sit in front of me and ask me how I'm feeling today?" I said, "It's not going to work like that, is it?" She said, "Well, you know, da, 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 da." And I remember it made me feel so, and I got up and walked out, and I swore to my mum I would never do it again. Because I felt, do you know what I felt? I felt pity. I felt like a pity party, and look, there's something wrong with me. I tried cognitive behavioural therapy. That was retraining. I don't need to train my brain how to I had a trauma. My heart's broken.
Yeah.
And that was the point I said to them is, they went, "We think you need to go on an antidepressant." And I'm one of them. I'm all for antidepressants.
Yeah,
I'm
me
all
too.
for them. Listen, if you're someone who you've had a breakup, and listen, everyone's depression is just as valid. But something like a loss of a child, you can't navigate that. You're never going to get to the end of that.
The pain of that, to wake up and live in that pain every day, is excruciating. If you're going to take the edge off of that, why would you not?
Why would you not? And
time is a healer.
Absolutely.
As time goes on and you have other children, and so then you could look then at cutting back on the antidepressants.
Absolutely.
But for
And
that
that's where
raw
I'm at now.
period, let it scab, let it heal a
and
little
that's
bit.
why I'm so not for people that go, you know, don't do an antidepressant, do it all
No, I don't
naturally.
understand
It's all in
it.
your brain and it's all in your heart. But that's all okay. If you've got a relationship and you've had a shit breakup, which breaks some people's heart and it ruins people, but you know to the end of that point, you're going to be happy again and you're going to find love again and you're going to be okay.
With a heartbreak, but with you, it's never going to go away. That is a scar that you've got that is you're never going to get rid of that scar. No. You're just going to have to learn to live with it. And that is what you've done.
Yeah.
Which is an amazing,
So then when
heroic.
And then that's what I'm trying to do. Like, it got to a point where I was like, right, we're going to put you on antidepressants. And they put me on a 50 milligrams sertraline. Wow. I was like a caged animal.
What do you mean?
Oh my God, I was like this. It was like I was in this cage, like I couldn't leave my house. I was scared of my own shadow.
What, the sertraline didn't work?
My chest was
Really? It made you
racing out of
worse?
my... Horrendous. And I know it gets worse before it gets better.
No, I was never like that. It made me feel a bit sick, a bit nauseous, a bit thirsty, but never like...
I was frightened of even looking at myself in the mirror.
But everyone's different. I think you need to try a few different types of medication.
So this is 100%. So what I did was, I said, that's not working for me. I'm very... know what's right for me and what's not. So I said, that's not right for me. I said, can we put me on something else? And they put me on a escitalopram.
I've been on that too.
Unreal.
So that agreed with you.
Unreal, yeah. And I come down, where I'm so little, I've come down on the amount that I take. So I'm only on a 15 milligram because I am still a mum. So I didn't want to be numb to the feeling. Over as time went by, I started to get quite a lot of anxiety. But this weren't until the 3rd, 4th year. So anxiety is in where I'd start getting really heavy breathing, I'd get sweating. I feel like it's zoning in on me like a tunnel and I can't see where I'm going. And then I get the finger sensation. I get the tingling and the numbness, and then it takes my whole body and it's like I've had a stroke. I look like I've had a stroke. And people in the street are like, I have to just get on a cold floor and be on a cold floor. And people going, her face is sure she hasn't had a stroke. And I know where I am, I can hear you, I can see everything that's going on. I just need time for my body to just... What happens is my body gets me so nervous and on such a height of what I'm doing that my body just shuts down.
Your nervous system just...
And some people have it physical, some people have it mentally. Mine is, my body just takes me and I pass out. Never have I had it with my kids, which I think that's her protecting us because I never have it around my kids. But as time's gone on, I've started to understand it. And what happened was I went to loads of different doctors. Not one of them said to me, oh, this could be a trauma response. Not one of them. Until I went and paid private. I went privately to see a lady called Lily Wickham over in the other side of Essex. Amazing. Living Hub, it's called. And she basically, it's on hand on healing. hearing about your story. She does a lot of hand-on healing, and then she done these.
More spiritual.
Yeah.
Because you're quite into spirituality.
Yeah, and she wanted to know why she said, you look like you're blocking. I want to know what your brain's doing. So they put these monitors on my brain, and she was putting signals through to see what my brain was doing. She said, when you're talking about Sienna, you're fine. When you're not talking and you're taking in information, your brain blocks, completely blocks. She said, so we need to try and get that understanding back. And I said, I don't know who I am. I don't know who I am. I, at one point, was that mum whose baby died. Then I went straight on and I only wanted another baby so badly. So after like the third day, Mickey was very against having Sienna home when she was passed, because what they said to us as a couple was, if you take Sienna home, you need to be aware that babies disintegrate a bit quicker. Adults, they can be around a little bit longer. Babies have to be kept cold. As brutal as it is, that is it. And my thing was, I will never forgive you if you don't let me have my baby home. And he said, Till, I can't be in... Mickey's very black and white, very old school. Like, I can't be in a bed. That's not me. Like, I can't. I will take you where you've got to go. And I resented him for that for a while. Like, I really did. And then he was trying to navigate how we're going to get money at the same time as... Because once you have a baby and it does, that's it, you go home. That's it. There's nothing else. There's none of that. They ring you constantly daily to see how you are. There is none of that.
That was it? That was just the end of it?
That's the end of it.
So you were lucky that you had that family support.
I had the family support.
Really,
and he was just running riot with trying to get the money for us to live and whatever else. So then we lost each other. He became angry.
The grief can cause that, can't it? Tilly, we're going to have to wrap up because we're running out of time on the recording. We're so grateful to you for coming and sharing your story.
Thank you so much for having me.
We could have done longer, couldn't we?
There's one more thing I just want to say.
Yeah, go on.
In regards to my daughter, so my new daughter that I've got, Sloane, she was diagnosed, she had a bronchiolitis not long ago, and she was blue lighted to King's on a life support machine for 4 days. I just want to say that anyone who is dealing with trauma, try and go to the people around you. Don't try and look for what you haven't got. Look for what you have got, whether that be sisters, friends. Friends are a massive part. I'm going to be honest, I lent more towards my friends than I did my family a hell of a lot of the time. But trauma can't... Look at this Kirsty. That's just Tom Parker's Kirsty.
Oh, my God.
That comes around again. Trauma does come back around, and it should. And that's what makes me question my religion. Where is God when the world is in so much...
Yeah, I know, I question it, but there is...
But it does happen. And just know, as women, we need to be... Don't try and be the strong person. Don't try and be the person that, everyone needs to look at. Instagram's the biggest lie. The biggest lie
so
ever.
Right.
My kids are all together. I'm all together on Instagram. It couldn't be a bigger lie. I'm up in the air with my house. I'm up in the air with me. My kids are late for school most of the time. I sob myself to sleep, but I'm still here. So I just want to let everyone know, just follow my page, Live in Grief. Anything I can do, anyone that wants to come and meet me, anyone that wants to see me or needs a number to call late at night, I will be there. I will help anyone that needs it. And I just want to say thank you so much, because I know you two are women and girls, mums, and it must be so tough. But cuddle your babies extra tight at night.
Didn't you have a dream that you was coming on and talking to us as well?
I had a dream a while ago, that I was going to come on and I was going to be on the podcast. You wasn't here, and it wasn't until I saw you on this podcast that I looked back and saw that I'd spoken to you previously.
See, I don't remember any of this, but we spoke when... We haven't actually spoke about it on here before, but I had a spiritual awakening in 2022. So in the messages that I was sending you, it was like from a spiritual reading side of things, which is what I did at that period. And I told you things that I wouldn't have known.
And you've also come to me at a time. The reason I'm doing this right now is because I opened that page because a family member of mine had a little girl, and she called the same name as my little girl, which is something that girls need to be prepared. That can happen. It shouldn't, but it does. And I felt like my little girl's identity had been stolen. So I opened this page to let everyone know there is a new you in a different name, but this is who my daughter was. Because people think I had a stillborn or I had that.
I didn't know, when obviously I didn't have a clue. When I did you this reading, and I can't even remember now what I said,
it was mad. I was in a hospital and my back was against the wall and I needed you. And for some reason it was you. And
Did you message me?
I messaged you and you was giving me so much time. And you had
we
all your
weren't
kids in the
friends
background.
on Instagram till last week.
No, and I've never met Keely
So I
in
didn't
my
know
life.
anything about you to tell you the things that I know.
And you've got me here at 11:11. I arrived on the 11th.
So you are meant to be
if
here,
I'm
and
anywhere
I
I'm
am
meant
a
to
big
be, it's
believer
here.
in that, and we're so grateful.
So grateful.
We did sort of like, we were like, it's something we really wanted to do, wasn't it? But at the same time,
and I couldn't have done it with two nicer
we
people.
knew it was going to be
you've
so
made me feel
difficult.
so comfortable.
Thank you so much for your time. We could go on for hours, I think, because there's so much information and help you.
But
give
the
other
point of me
people.
doing it today is I don't want to go too much in about, because what I want women to understand that are grieving and that are trying to move forward with a healing process, you're never going to be fixed. It's always going to be an up, down, up, down. But if you can find a way to navigate it at the time you're ready, your life you'll be able to carry it so much better. And my babies deserve that. They deserve a mum that can carry on.
We'll
and stop
definitely
keep
think
crying.
about doing a charity. This has touched my heart so much. We should look into doing a charity.
And not just wondering what
fundraiser.
baby we're going to have, a boy or a girl. Health, guys, health. That's what we
health.
want.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want a girl. We just want a healthy baby. 100%.
Love you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much.
So it's the end of series 1. Thank you so much for listening and watching. We're going to be working on series 2. And
we can't believe it. We cannot believe that we have completed the whole series. It's been emotional. There's been ups, there's been downs. We've had some amazing guests. Thank you to everyone that's come on and supported us.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we'll look forward to series 2.
If you would like to see
series 2, we've got to work on it.
We would really like you to like and subscribe. This is not funded. Keely pays for it all out of her own money, and it is done to help other people. And we have had such a huge response about people that it has helped, which is so amazing, isn't it, when we get these messages? So it just click subscribe, please, people. And hopefully we'll be back with a series number 2.
Yeah.